Following program contains language and subject matter that you may consider unsuitable for children. Parental discretion is advised.
Greetings from His Highness the Jackal.
The Jackal.
I'm going to pass the reins to Mr. Jackal, the new king of radio.
I think Jackal's Latino, I'm not sure, but he'll give it to you good.
The Jackal.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Inside the Jackal's Head right here again, live in Bevo, on Earth, and on psn-radio.com, and of course, SoFlo Radio and the Global Enlightenment Radio Network, all carrying the feed like the herd. And with me on the show now for the next segment and a half, maybe two, maybe three, we'll see how the conversation goes, is the man himself from the Mars, the red planet, the Mad Martian. Welcome back to the show, my friend. How you doing tonight, sir?
All right, but you know the motto that I and the listeners to my show and every one of you out there could appreciate: pack 'em and smoke 'em, because you're definitely going to need 'em tonight.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And, of course, as usual, I butchered the last name, and I apologize about that because, you know, that's the way it is. Gary Leggiere?
Leggiere.
See, it won't happen again.
Cool.
It happens. I'm Cuban, you know. You got to forgive me.
There you go. You got the... Hey, did you shave your head since last time I seen you?
I have. Yes, I have. Yes.
Okay.
I shaved my head last time also. I've been shaving my head for 20 years.
Wow. I won't dare do that yet, but you never know. I'm thankful for what I got, though. It's going gray, you know what I mean? We're up that age now.
Yeah, I feel you. You know, it's funny because, like I said earlier on the show, time flies, man. I was looking up some instant messages or, you know, private messages on Facebook, and I had like 30,000 that I hadn't gotten to in the last 10 years. And in there, I was like, Gary, could it be that Gary? And I looked it up, and I was like, holy crap, this is from like 2011. And I was like, my God.
Oh, yeah. That was... Yeah, those are days of my hot and madness. I'm coming back from online for after a few years hiatus offline to study and do a lot of work in the UFO diaries and the faces of Mars, which hopefully we could get into toward the end of the show. There's a bunch of images. Not that that's the end of the show, but I got a lot of images to show tonight, and I was quite crazy. I still am crazy, they say, but yeah, I was really rotten crazy because there was years of just being under the rug, spit upon, slandered, shunned down, erased from my web presence around the net and my work and who I am and who I was. So I could imagine what I wrote in there, and I'm sure it definitely had to, I mentioned Hoagland, I think, right?
yeah, our good friend Richard.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's funny because as soon as I started getting into the deep conspiracy UFO stuff, I had myself an issue with GoDaddy, who mysteriously had a crash on their server that we were on, and all my files got erased. Gone. And that caused me about 100 video files, which I never was able to recover from a show that I was doing on the People's TV network that is now defunct. And man, there was stuff in there.
Favor? Sorry to interrupt. My sound just completely went out. You said, let me tell you, and you must have been speaking for like 30 seconds, so I apologize to everyone. The problem was on my end. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. No, I said that... well, I don't know exactly where I left off that you heard, but I was just saying that it's funny because when I started doing my show on People's TV Network, I started dealing more into ufology. And I was doing a lot of shows, and when I really delved into ufology and delved into like Mars and space and those conspiracies, GoDaddy had an issue with the server where all my shows went poof, they disappeared. And they had a server crash, and they told me, "Oh, your server got overloaded. Too many hits were coming in, and it blew the server up." And I lost about 100 episodes, Gary, of really interesting stuff. You had Laura Eisenhower as a guest. The very first show that she did on internet video was on Skywatchers Radio with myself and Rick Osman and Jesse Singer was there, Randolph, and I mean there was like three of us, and she was. I think she had done one other interview before, but this was like the first video online interview that she had done. We lost all that because of a crash, and they could never recover the data. They were like, "Oh, I'm sorry, everything was gone." And we had, I had a lot of the audio stuff backed up, but video takes a lot of memory, and that was in a server that was holding all my stuff. But it's weird how that would happen, 10 years ago. It hasn't happened since. It's like we're now more conditioned, and we're getting more and more pushed towards that reality. And that's why I love having people like you on, because you've been talking about this with myself and others for decades, and we've been researching this for a long time. And if I had any hair left on my head, by now I'd be pulling it out, because it's really been aggravating, waiting for the final disclosure. But I think we're finally almost there. What do you think?
Well, like I have I believe in the fact that I don't know if you're aware of Brookings, of what that is, but basically from the 50s and even before then, but it became officially known in the early 60s, but it was a think tank put forth by NASA and government stating what we would encounter or potentially encounter out in space, how civilization would deal with it, the type of effects upon the greatest effect that the determined would be upon a discovering scientists, let alone societies, and how it was basically, without saying it, but it was summing it up, that total suppression but acclimation over time for a period of 70 years, 80 years. We're about there now, acclimating us, and they have been ever since the 90s. The videos and documentaries have been getting more serious, and not always the debunked giggle factor always applied to it, that it was applied for decades. We were used to movies like Independence Day and other alien films and whatnot, and the thing is, we're at a time now where we must be told. All right, now, therefore, like UFOs, that name went out the window with the giggle factor, but yet now they officially, the Pentagon, as you know, Angel, is that they disclose, there's these videos we see from 2004, whatever, onward, and some from 2014 or 17 or something, that they're legitimate. And that they're called UAPs now, unidentified aerial phenomena, instead of unidentified flying objects. It's like, what the F, It's the same shit. But
call them what you want to call them, but it's the same thing. Yeah,
so all they do is change the name. So now it has a different label applied, and it's kind of remarkable because, well, is it possible if I could play you an audio clip? Because I think it sums it up, what General Mark Milley had said to a graduating class in, 2016? And many of you listeners
I don't know if it'll come through. Maybe it'll come through. But
it should. If I should hear it, you should hear it. But all right, we'll see. All right, let me make sure I got it here. Because it's pretty incredible of what he says. All right, boom, here it is. Let me know if you hear this. Did you hear that?
I do. I do.
Now just hold on. It's only 1 minute and 16 seconds long. Now remind you, picture yourself, General Mark Milley, 2016. He is now the Joint Chiefs Chairman, who Trump just put in after initializing the Space Force. He also said this at a group of graduating cadets and officers back east in 2016. So ponder this.
If the world of 1916 was complex, well, the world of 1945 was complex, the world of 2016 is intensely complex. And I can tell you that from personal experience, and I know there's many others who can tell you that as well. And you will graduate and be in that world. And you're going to be leading the soldiers and the sailors, the airmen and the Marines in that world. You'll be dealing with terrorists. You'll be dealing with hybrid armies. You'll be dealing with little green men. You're going to be dealing with tribes. You'll be dealing with national leaders and local leaders. You'll be dealing with politics and economics. And you'll be dealing with direct fire and indirect fire. And you're going to be dealing with it all. And it's all going to be dealt with simultaneously. And for that, you're going to have to be ready. And that's why readiness, in my mind, is number one.
Incredible. Did you catch that all?
I caught all of that. Yeah, that's amazing audio. Now, can you send me that later? Or I want to make sure I have a clear copy of that.
Oh, definitely. But notice what he focused in on. Hybrid armies.
Yep.
Little green men. Now, after this conference or whatever, you know, and giving this speech, one of the other generals or whatever asked them if they had any questions for him. Hands went up. They're only asking about his life, what got him interested. Not one was like, excuse me, sir. What'd you just say? And might rethink my differences here, you know? I mean, but none of that. And I brought it up to a guest. I forgot who it was, but he basically said that, well, maybe they were all briefed on that and told not to ask questions about that. Now, that kind of makes sense, too. But the thing is, it was public. That
what would they brief them pre-hand, though? I mean, yeah.
You can't
Yeah. No, I'm saying, what would they brief the media on that pre-hand, though? That's kind of letting the cat out the bag.
Well, when you start putting all these things together, and especially with the UAPs and the Space Force, it's not just even Trump and President Trump and Mike Pence and pushing the Space Force so immediate. It was not only to protect us from the obvious threats here on Earth, you know, right. China, Russia, and others or whatnot, and to protect our obvious asses or assets in space that make our nation and the world go round today, but from the threats coming from deep space. Now, when you start adding up all these, and there's another clip, and I try to focus on it during my show, The Martian Revelation. Hopefully you don't mind me throwing that out. But
no.
To where Mike Pence said something during the push for the Space Force, and everyone's clapping, but yet none had a clue. And this is what he said.
And here from this bridge to space, our nation will return to the moon, and we will put American boots on the face of Mars.
Yeah.
And here from this bridge...
American boots on the face on Mars.
American boots. Now, he didn't say internationally collaborated Chinese boots or Russian boots. Or he said American boots, and that was pushing the American Space Force. And everyone's clapping, and I'm like, you fucking sheep.
But they missed the point.
They're all clapping. They think flags and flowers. Wrong. Try M60s. Yeah. You know what I mean? This is what they're bringing on, and we're going to be getting into that face of Mars tonight to really look at it, because even though it's well known and everything, people are still shying away from it, not looking at it, and steering off into other places, where that's a big piece that got me drawn to Mars, and it just seems to me it was my fate and destiny and meant to be that way anyway. But I'm crazy. I'm not going to get into that story tonight. But I'll say this. It's there, and it's real, even though NASA officially disacknowledges the face as a mountain, as a massive, as a hill, right, and anything else. They don't know what the hell to call it officially, but officially they keep calling it the face of Mars. So when it's like a code, and I'm not getting into that now, but little seeds for your listeners. And then when
some of the naysayers are, Gary, they're going to say, well, they don't mean technically, they mean metaphorically the face on Mars, like the face of the Earth. But you have to read between the lines, and that's exactly what's going on. It's all symbology, it's all code language, and that's exactly I picked up on it immediately. Also, when you played the clip, that's exactly what he means by that. They literally are going to go to the face on Mars, and the reason why, Gary, I think is because they're already there to begin with, but they're like.
Who?
America's already there, but I believe that the reason we're saying the way that he's saying it is because we're militarizing Mars.
That's right, and we're going to put American boots. Yeah. Boots is another term for military.
Exactly.
I mean, so it was right in your face, and all these reporters, kumbaya, what the hell, man? Let me read it. Like General Mark Milley, I would have been like, excuse me, sir. Please reiterate that. I mean, because look, we're coming to a time where we must know. Look, we're being told with hybrid armies now and little green men, and we've always heard of the tales, Mars and the world of worlds. What if there is? And you say that we are maybe there already, but it wouldn't be our Space Force, I don't think. It would be, people that say the secret space programs, I have many guests on, I'm sure you have too, talk to people about it, about what's going on out there. And we got to remember, it's those same people that are commie American traders that fucking led our country to sell us out to these international collaborators, okay? The commie Chinese, I have another word from you can imagine, and it ain't racial. It's the government. I hate them. Now, and I hope their mission blows up before it gets to Mars. But besides that, so now I lost where I was going, but it was important. All right, so we're going there. Oh, it was us. They're the ones that was running then these deep space ops, these secret space programs. Now, if Trump and the Patriots are cleaning them down here on Earth, it brings another estimate to the people that have heard of the secret space programs and the various stories of who rules them. Wouldn't it be common sense a Space Force would be needed to go out and deal with them?
Yes.
Especially if they were run by these commie American one world orderists, Satanists, whatever you want to call them, whether there's actual aliens involved, which there may be, judging by the shit we see that I see on Mars, let alone what anyone else sees. Has potential of being in the picture where we as the public are not aware, like reptilians and other things. I mean, there's very much reasons to consider that our push to get out there and to colonize Moon and Mars and beyond, we have to deal with that secret space program threat, depending on what who they're willing to follow after that point because of who put them there and then what's really going on there. So the threats coming from deep space could still be part of them and whoever they may be in league with that comes from deep space, not just meteors and asteroids, which is obviously just as important as for deep space comments of threats coming from deep space. But those threats that are intelligent, because remember, everybody, if you all don't know, Mars was nuked in the distant past. So now, when you start putting all these little things together,
it's funny because a lot of people don't understand that Mars does have a lot of radiation, more radiation around the planet than most planets in our solar system, which leads scientists to believe that there was some kind of nuclear explosion within the planet, and that's the only way you get that kind of radiation around the planet. So there's even scientific evidence to back that up.
Well, yes, and my friend Dr. John Brandenburg, who's always supported my efforts in the show, despite how crazy I am, he had also came on many times that Mars had about two Empire State Building sized, maybe hydrogen nuclear detonated bombs that went off. One in Mare Acidalium, which is right there where Cydonia is pretty much, as well as Utopia Planitia. And it left the isotopes of xenon-129 to be detected. Now, we're going to get into the face of Mars, but and I got images to show. I don't know if you can see my screen or if your listeners can see my screen or not. Can they?
Oh yeah, we can see it. Everything's
okay. So right there, you're looking at the Cydonia face right there. Okay,
right.
That's from Mars Express. I'll get into that later. Now, the thing is,
now this is the classic image that we got for the face on Mars. More or less. I mean, this is not the original, obviously, overhead shot, but it's one of the follow-up shots that we got.
This is an overhead shot by the Mars Express, which is much better in showing his detailing in the tattoo work, which I call it, than what Viking shows or what Odyssey shows. Though it's there, but I think the ESA camera has something aboard that goes through all that foo-foo dust and is able to bring out the tattoo a little better, despite its resolution. Because this was meant to be seen from afar and also above, not just, on the ground. On the ground, what you're looking at from the top of the head to the bottom is a mile and a half long by a mile wide, 1,500 foot high, but we're jumping ahead. So the face was discovered in 76. Dr. Gil Levin, who was kicked in the balls, and we the people were too, that is experiments, the label release experiments aboard the Viking landers, 4,000 miles apart from each other, did test positive for life. And not only was the face seen that year and the landers' findings, but the findings of the Xenon-129. So once they seen that and knew that, then they knew it was someone nuked it in the past, in the distant past. Dr. Brandenburg breaks down the scientific modeling of how old it would be and why and whatnot.
Right.
So you have to listen to the archives for all that. But the thing is, who did it? Is it the threats coming back from deep space? I mean, did they ever really leave? We were all taught Mars is a dead planet, but it's not so dead after all. Officially, politically, as the, we're looking for possible signs. They're not even looking for fucking life, Angel.
No.
They're looking with all these $1 billion experiments on board. They will not replicate Dr. Gil Levin's test on board.
Yeah.
All right. Now, this is important. Which detects life is still it's the best technology even used here on Earth is still used today. Mm-hmm. But they sent all these experiments to look for possible signs of possible past life.
Right.
And I'm like, they have nothing on board to actually detect life. So how the hell are you going to detect past life was actually past life if you can't even detect present life? I mean, again, you can't make this shit up. And
they always go to the most deserted part of the planet where there's like nothing but desert everywhere.
Well, they stay away from obvious places. Yes.
Correct, yeah.
And, and that's a shame. Now, the only thing about the Chinese, gonna have another word from them, you could guess. If their mission's to survive, I would like them to have the balls, and I would give them that little inch of respect if they have the balls to actually land in Cydonia on or near the face as possible, as certainly they'll never be forgotten. Say, hey, it took us to land at Cydonia, stick it up the middle finger to the rest of the world, whereas U.S., we've seen their policy on the matter. And but other than that, I hope it blows up, because they're not about exploration and science and giving us the knowledge. They're there for their commie military reasons, and they're not going to share all that shit with you people. So why are you backing them? Why are you helping them? Remember, they're only doing what they're doing because we were sold out by commie American traders, selling our secrets, letting them steal, do everything that they were doing so that we wouldn't even have a space program, let alone make it out into space beyond low Earth orbit, cislunar orbit, which we need to do, a lunar base, Mars. They didn't want none of that. Only because the President Trump and the Patriots now, we could have that vision.
Let me interject here for a second. Do you find it ironic that the first astronaut that reached orbit was a Russian, and the first man that went to the moon was American, and now the Chinese are trying to be the first ones to put men on Mars, technically. And it follows like every superpower that is really the largest at the moment is the first to do something when it comes to space. That's, I think, one of the reasons why we need to beat China also. And
Yes,
and
national
that's one
prestige,
of
but this is beyond
Yeah.
national prestige with the commie Chinese.
Oh no, obviously, yeah, obviously.
Right,
But
you
I
know,
mean,
if
that
Russia did it,
also
we're at
that
peace
also
talks.
is putting our big boy pants on the rest of the world by saying, "Look, we're still number one." So,
Well, right. But not only just by us going there, but and planting a flag and leaving. No, but setting up shop to what we need to do, and let
Right.
the military train and the civilian train start following it. You cannot just have the military train without the civilian train, because the civilian train's got to back up the military train as we face these threats from deep space and on the face and in under Mars, which I call the subsurface illegals. Remember, Mars has been termed a foreign planet. When Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter was just about to reach orbit, it said it's the first nation, first ever mission to reconnoiter a foreign planet. Foreign. Hoagland said to me, Gary, do you understand the implication of the words? I said, yeah, foreign means nation. And he goes, exactly. Therefore, who they really trying to tell us really owns Mars?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, look, and like Dr. Brandenburg said, or sorry, Victor Norgard would say, the UFO bone is connected to the Mars bone.
Mm-hmm.
It brings it into proximity, just like our moon would. Mars has so much there to see. If you're willing to look and then willing to study what you see and then accept what you see, because it's beyond how life as we know it here on Earth to be, especially where it comes to civilization or structures. It's far different. Now, and we're going to get into a lot of images showing that, especially of the face, because I think that was a good way to start off with that, so I'm glad I picked that. And as we transition out there, we have to build, like President Trump said, about protecting eventually our homeland. It will become a whole new meaning of what homeland means, not just the USA at that point, but as a planet. But it has to be built on our infrastructure. Do you want it being built on the commie Chinese infrastructures? We'll never, we won't even be a nation. Hell with space, who will give a shit? We'll be dead and enslaved, and anyone who had a taste of freedom or memory or definition will had their heads blown in.
Yep.
I mean, that's not fantasy. It's happened before, and they've done it before to their own people.
Yeah, they're doing it to their own people. Ask the Falun Gong how's it going for them over there.
So it's not far-fetched to see and understand that the so-called race that we're in now is indeed a race. It's indeed a race to be supreme in space. So who controls the high ground in space controls the planet.
Correct.
And
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. That's exactly what it is.
The fact of the matter is, Angel, a week or two ago, it's been confirmed, even though it's been hinted at and outspoken about it, poking China about it, that they already have direct energy weapons being used in space. The Chinese and the Russians. Now it makes the Space Force not so giggable anymore.
Yep.
Because this is already applicated. That was helped to be put in force by the commie Americans, the traitors, our previous presidents that allowed that to happen for this plan. You kind of spoke about it earlier in the opening of the show. And if we get into that, that'll totally steer away from this. But I'm right on board with you. These same people, same ilk, they didn't want to see this shit up there, let alone going. But they wanted to give it to the Chinese and to the rest of the world, the New World Order. It would be them.
Yeah, people wonder, why, we shut down flights from NASA to space, and why we haven't had a shuttle. Well, because we're giving all the money to the Russians, and we're going on board with the Russians. They're the boogeyman when it comes to certain things, but we've been working with them for a century on different undercover projects, or whether it's bringing in Werner von Braun after Nazi Germany, and the Russians still being involved in every war alongside America. The Nazis, the Russians, America. The Cold War, all that stuff is really just downplaying the reality that this is all, I think, a work from behind the scenes by
Yes.
one unified field of people that are really doing stuff that we're not aware of at all. I mean, this is
And
just
it takes
smoke and
time.
mirrors.
As that plan goes through time. And that's another thing about the threats coming from deep space we're being hinted at and alluded to, the little green men and etc., is because their lifespan may be so much different than ours. They would have had the capability to have been around to steer and help guide this plan and use people on this planet for their means. So not only, if that's true, and it's not far-fetched, many are out there that contemplate this, if that's not far-fetched. If that's true, well, we are really having to make our fate, because it could be malevolent or benevolent, and it seems more malevolent because this thing over that could control our human time, like we're in our present, is going to a plan that's already been set up by a higher intelligence, as it was, that could be behind it. Now, that could get into scriptural aspects, and it could also certainly match with the ET extraterrestrial threat phenomena as well, which is not a phenomenon when you consider what we're going to see on Mars. I mean, these are things that are there that you could touch and someone done up, and whatever happened to Mars, my opinion, I don't think it extincted them. It might have extincted the life on the surface as it was, but underneath, and also they could easily leave, because a lot of the shit I see on Mars had to have been designed from above.
Gary, I go back to biblical scripture. I think that a lot of the stuff that was put later in biblical scriptures came directly from what happened maybe on Mars. Perhaps the serpent, for example, the devil, was a Martian. There was some on Earth.
Funny? There's a lot of things that I have seen on Mars over the years, and we'll get into that a little bit later when we talk about the face with split art or split facing, mirroring. You can make faces at anything without getting into all that. A lot of these, so that form a line of research on certain finds, and not only myself, George Hodgson and others, I've always seen a serpent or a cobra aspect. And then when I started watching Stargate, I started laughing, because it was like, what are we being acclimated to? We're seeing cobra heads. We're seeing snake heads. Not merely just trying to make a connection directly to Giza, though Cairo means city of Mars. But the thing is, to make as if worship or bring up a new religion for the ancient Egyptians, but of a mindset, of a comparative metaphor to what is out there. There were other shows. What was that? Well, with the gua, they had the gua inside them. These little parasitic bugs. You had Dark Skies. They had parasitic bugs. You had some other famous shows. Stargate again. They had the parasitic bugs. I was like, what's this shit? They're all biting off each other's idea of parasitic bugs? Or are we being told there's some parasites, pun intended, that could use your body, your soul, that could infiltrate your look, all I'm saying is that everything
There's a Chinese movie called Parasite, by the way. Gary, there's a Chinese movie. There's a movie that came from China called Parasite, which is like the largest Chinese movie ever.
I don't know if I've seen that. I think it sounds familiar. Is it an older movie?
No, it came out a couple years ago, 2 years ago maybe. And it's literally like the biggest box office hit in China. It's about a parasite.
Incredible.
Yeah, they come from up there.
They love playing with bugs and sending them worldwide to test things out and to help destroy it for their plans. Look, and all of that, too, could have still been with the help of some extraterrestrial force to guide them. It's not far-fetched. We've heard about Adolf Hitler potentially being in contact with ET off-worlders, giving them designs and such. I mean, so it's not far-fetched. You know, people could laugh all they want, but yet, where do you think their cell phones come from and everything, and that it's all new? You were born in the age of it. Well, those of us who came before then, we still came in the age where that was still great compared to our parents. But that's a short amount of time. And everyone should read the book, The Day After Roswell, by Colonel Corso. It's Colonel Philip J. Corso. To help get an understanding, if that's all true, from the Roswell crash and the technologies thereof and how it was disseminated to our country and obviously sold out to enemies around the world. But again, follow history as well as all these things behind the scenes. And then look at that mug right there up there on Mars where we're going to be putting American boots. Then,
right on the face.
Well, exactly, of Mars. And it's not alone. But I find it fantastic. The history of the time we're in now, we have to make our fate now. We have to help Elon Musk. We should be behind him. Our government should fully fund him. NASA wants to make a revamped Apollo type, sending a few astronauts at a time called Artemis. Again, occultic religious aspects put to something. Hell with all that shit. Do what we got to do to establish our dominance in space and move on and outward. Send the first woman. Oh, fine. They make it all about a woman like a goddess. And I ain't doing that shit. When women, whoever's got the balls of titties to go, has the respect. And that's part of human growth, expansion, and adaptation, especially now as we are in that space age. We could have and should have already been up there. And I mean us. But with thanks to these people and depending on the model, what NASA's putting forth is not the model. It's a turtleneck snail pace speed policy agenda that'll never get us there because the commie Americans will once again take over at some point. We have to take the initiative. Elon Musk.
Now, how much do you trust? Yeah, but how much can we really trust Elon Musk? I mean, at some point, he's getting a big push from the government also, and they're working with him directly. So, I mean, man is corruptible and gives him that much power.
They're capping him. No, you're not just going to go to Mars. You're going to go on our timetable. Fine. That's why he's also with NASA now. NASA didn't open him, embrace him with open arms. It was because of the president and the vision.
True.
They poked Bridenstine in the chest and said, look, if you don't or cannot do what we need to do, or what you have our goals set out to be, we'll find someone else who can and will. That's when they brought on Elon Musk. Look where his ships are also being built. But what Elon Musk wants to do is make 1,000 of these big effing rockets. That was the original name. Big effing rockets. You know what the effing stands for. All right? As well as Falcon. But big effing rockets. And 100 people, and I'll just say everyone will be an astronaut. 100 people at different brain wavelengths, skills, trades, whatnot, could be sent out there aboard a ship along with 150 tons of cargo, and he wants to make 1,000 of them to make them into a giant mothership where they all could connect, and that's what we should be having and building as we go beyond Mars. And NASA, well, they're having all the problems with their SLS and this and that, and I just don't see it. I don't see it. They're stalling the buy time. We've been infiltrated. We have to get real visionaries in, real people to see what this can mean for America. That industrialization age of the pre-1900s and early 1900s is here in regards to space, and you'd be surprised where your kids will be able to be and able to go in our lifetimes or before we die if we would put such a mass effort greater than the war effort that helped save our country. This has to be done in order to secure our homeland, let alone both meanings of what that's supposed to represent.
Hell, I honestly, Gary, at this point, it's just to secure humanity. And, I mean, the way we're going about it, if we want to survive as a species, I think we have to colonize Mars immediately. And
embrace the technologies that they got.
Yep.
And from whatever sources People could think from human geniuses or from incorporated extraterrestrial designing and or help. Again, we don't know the truth of all these things, but we could piece different pictures together to say, what the hell, nothing surprises us, because compared to what we're going to look at tonight, what you're looking at on your screens, if you still see it there, of the face of Cydonia, remember that's 1.5 miles long by 1 mile wide. That's no mere mountain. That's no molehill. Yeah. That's heavy metal. And someone
that's not a cat box, as NASA first said. Oh, look, the litter box, the cat litter box looking image.
Yeah, we'll get into that image. I guess, hey, this might go a while, so do you think we could jump into images now since we're on it?
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny, by the way, that they make that, statement when they did, because Hoagland, of course, clued us into how if you fold the images, it'll form the look of a lion. So when they say the litter image or the cat image, and then you see the image looks like a lion when folded in half. Yeah,
we're going to show that because that's called iconography, and that's jumping ahead. We'll get to that. But there's an image on the screen there. You see an image that's from Sebastian Voltmir from a year or two ago on closest approach. Since it's real closest approach of 2003, this is the second one, but going outward a little further. He took this image, and he actually did an animation of it. It's incredible. I see an art sculpted world right there. I don't see a world of dust, dirt, and plain old rock. I'm seeing an art sculpted wonder. But I'm crazy, but keep that in mind. In order to understand that, you'll have to understand and start out from the face of what that represents and get over all the brainwashing that you've been told about it and really not told about it and or shown correctly about it. So that's Mars. Pretty beautiful. Look at the greenish hue. Look at the blues at the top. And Mars sky is blue, by the way. For all those people out there, it's a fact. Known since Viking as well. Dr. Gillivan's son was in on the controversy with that, too. But again, that's a long story. So here's the famous face of Cydonia. The original given out, all grainy. And the program, there's a program in processing them as I literally processed the entire public NASA given archives for Viking, and the program I use, it takes all that noise out. And for some reason, over the years, they never wanted to take the noise out. They show it, but it's only a trick of light and shadow. See, it just kind of looks like a face here. Okay, but, what about better processing and whatnot, right? So that, they called it head. And there's a reality, different story than the surface reality of what you've been told about the history of the head. It's not just, it doesn't have to do with Dr. Tobias Owen saying, it looks like a head and everything. No, there's a hidden story, but that's for another night. Just remember, I'm crazy, am I? All right, so this is the image from the process image, 35A72, okay, 1976. As you can see, the D&M pyramid there, it's in shadow, and, you've got the shadows of different, surface features, whatnot. Hopefully you all can see this okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's coming in clear.
Over here is what has been termed as the city and city square. Right. That definite pyramidal type shapes and just bizarre world, type of structuring. It takes a real getting used to it. And obviously what booms out at you right here, do you see my arrow circling around?
I see that, yeah.
Okay, that's of the face of Cydonia. Remember, 1.5 miles long.
Correct.
1 mile wide. 1,500
So that tells you how far away the other structures are, like the other pyramids. They're pretty far away.
This one's 6 miles at least between here and there.
Right. So those are giant structures to see them at that size. I mean, we're talking about big things.
Yes, huge. Now, so as you can see, it throws off a shadow that casts people that think it's pyramid. And the faces of Mars are, in fact, pyramids. Just don't think of pyramids like you would see in Egypt. Pyramids come in different shape or form as long as it's geometrical, in my opinion. I see it. I'm not the mathematician, but I see it. So that's 35A72. Okay, famous. But then NASA said a couple hours later they took another image that they never shown, and it completely disappeared. While Vince DiPietro and Craig Molinar was on the show a couple months ago, I believe, and they went and searched the archives a few years after this, and there's 35A72, a little bit clearer picture I did. And then boom, 7813, they found another image. And the amazing thing about it is, let me zoom in here. This is what it is. All right, you don't see the shadow no more. It's a different sun angle, which we're able to see. Still dark in some. We're getting to see some features on this side of the face. Okay, you can see where a mouth would be, an eye, the brow. The lines going across. Some people say it would look like he's wearing a helmet. That may be true. Okay, or whatnot. Depends on one's perspective. Okay, but scroll down. Now we got a better view of the D&M pyramid. It's not all in shadow anymore. You can clearly make out its pentagonal siding. Okay, and this thing's huge as well. I got a better picture of it later to show, but I want to focus on the face. Now, let me see if I did this one. Yeah, that's 7813. So as you can see, boom, it's definitely not all in shadow. It gives us some details and shit. Now, in 1998, you said cat box. Now, this was given out in 98 after the cat box. It's the same image, but it was processed wrong, incorrectly, and it looked a lot worse than this thing does. And it was stretched. It was just, it was shit. It was bullshit. And there was a spit in the people's eye by Graybeard, Tricky Mickey Mike Malin. But once correctly processed, and now mind you, this ain't looking at it straight down. The whole problem was because Mars Global Surveyor was heading toward the end of its aerobraking phase, and if you were looking up and down, straight down at it, that's called nadir, okay, Nadir. Now, if you're off at an angle somewhere above the planet, not above this per se, but you're looking at it at an angle, that's what we're seeing. So the perspective is moved. You understand what I mean, right?
Yeah. I'm with you.
Right. But look at the details. There's still an eye, a mouth. People say, oh, it looks like teeth, and, for the better terms, it is for what it represents.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
You have a lot of features on here, and people would always have the concept, though, of what they know here on Earth: sand, dirt, rocks. All right, but what I'm seeing is that this thing has been art sculpted. Every little nook and cranny. These aren't image artifacts. This is solid etchings. If you're familiar with like pewter statuary, how exquisitely carved it is, or real good tattoo artists, this has been done up, and you can see this even away. Let's say a crater. People would call this a crater. It's not a crater. It's got geometry in it as well. You need images to see the various shapes to come to the understanding of what I see. But you can see the lines going away from it. These are not windblown lines. These are art lines, which falls
Gary, the so-called teeth, if you look at them, they almost look like they're boulders holding up what looks like the upper lip or where the nose would be. It almost looks like they're poles holding up the structure.
Now, depending on what distance you're at, you're going to see different patterns for that face.
Right.
The closer you get, it's going to get more expanded. The further away, it's good. So it will still look like a face, but it's going to share certain characteristics. Now, when they say trick of light and shadow, it's a half-truth. Because whoever designed this thing and carved this thing had the mastery of how light would hit it, at what times of day, what orbital periods, and in order to have whatever it is that they embed in that understanding to show what they would want it to show for that particular time and frame. And my theory and I kind of proved this. I'm proving it. I need more image data. As they move across, the eye will follow them. The eye will follow them. And it's hard to get into now about it. I should have put that example in. But this is from 1998, the so-called cat box image. Okay, so a couple years later, there's a little larger view. Okay, just to get an appreciation, let you look at that a minute. All right, you can see his chin line. Many people, on many images, a lot of this would be lightened. You couldn't see a lot of these details I'm able to bring out. Right. Therefore, that's sand, or that's just a slope. It's called obfuscation. It's called camouflage. Because the more you bring out the details, you see that's not sand or erosion. It is artistical designing with purpose. And we're going to get into that, especially where it comes along the so-called teeth, eye, and everything else we're going to look at and study about this face. Now, remember, this is 1.5 miles long, so it's, and 1 mile wide, okay? So it's nose, short, amazing feet. Nature would have to be intelligent to have carved and designed this, let alone from above in what the face sits in, which is a larger hemispheric area with other features that all fit into this web as it was. But now, so this is 1998. So now a couple of years later, Mars Odyssey. Bam. Now, the resolution of the Odyssey is better than Viking, but less than...
Still kind of blurry.
Well, I had to blow it up a little too. But the thing is, compared to how NASA gives us these images, you don't see none of this shit at all. It's all over contrasted, overshadowed. You're not being able to bring out any nooks and crannies, which I call comparative analysis, along with the higher res image, and also to help prove and understand my theory of how it is archived and being certain things being seen at certain times where others are not, of day or orbital period, or which is time of year or whatnot, or position of lighting. All right, so but
season
now, so all right, so this is a Mars Odyssey image, and there's another one which is fairly better. It's higher resolution than the other one. Okay, it's definitely better than the 35A72, as you can see. Okay, and 7813. We get a little more detail. And once again, NASA does not show you these features that you're seeing here in this image the way I'm able to bring them out. I process them from the raw images as well. They're smarter than us. Why aren't they giving out these images with this being seen? Why obfuscate? Why have all this, all the white? You cannot see all these intricate lines, these little features, and, to follow the lines, I say. That's what you got to do. That's how I started out from the face and encompassed worldwide, where Mars is a gigantic sculpture with artistically carved entire planetary surface. In fact, it was my claim in 98 that got Hoagland to introduce himself to me. I didn't know who the hell he was, but we chatted for a while, and he brought me in eventually as an honorary member of his website that turned out to be enterprisemission.com. He always said to me, "It's good science, just not yet." Like, what the fuck does that mean? Now I'm understanding, based on bookings. And he's touted about bookings over the years, people. You need to really hear what he has to say in order to see the code keys and get the big picture conversation between the lines. So, as you can see, the I is pronounced. We got features here, there's lines, and why is there so many different lines? Why isn't it just a normal face? And Hoagland, for years, of a human face staring at us up from a Martian desert. And when people hear desert, sand, that's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is carved metal. Now, prove me wrong. Anyone. I bet you won't. You can't. In fact, all of the researchers, and they hate to admit it, which is why my name, Mars Revealer, got so named long ago, and what I'm also known for many years. Mad Martian was a name man gave me. all right, since that 2011 stuff coming back online. But my name has been entitled to me through experience called Mars Revealer. Okay?
Mars Revealer, right.
Yeah, behind that too, but your listeners, I don't want to scare them away just yet. That'll be for another show maybe, because I'm crazy. Remember that. That's what they want you to believe. Well, you got fucking crazy. Here we go.
we all are a little crazy. Continue.
Here's another image from Mars Odyssey. You can tell the differences in what is seen by different times of day or orbit position. Look at those features. You see what I'm saying?
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
It become clear.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Different features are able to show, and others become obscure, fitting in with what is supposed to be seen when the sun hits it this way. All right. Again, 1.5 miles long, mile wide, 1,500 foot high. I'm estimating this highest point is right here, but I'm crazy. I'm on a board proving that. You don't
well,
get
that will make perfect sense if you look at the shadow image earlier. That would make perfect sense. That's exactly where the highest point would be to make that effect.
South Florida. I've lived in South Florida, and when you're coming in on an airplane, you see 5 or 6 giant antennas. There, and with that blink red and shit, right? Those are 1,200 feet high. So think about that height. Added by 300 more feet is the top peak of where the mouth would be on the face of Cydonia. So that's pretty huge. All right, So my buddies living there. Miramar has one a block away, and boom, it's behemoth. So think about 300 more feet above that if you were sitting next to the face. And it's 1 mile wide by 1.5 miles long. You can fit a lot of homes in 1 mile and 1.5 miles.
Oh, yeah. I was just thinking about that. Would this possibly be a base in there, you think, still active?
I wouldn't rule out, again, if we're going to put American boots on the face of Mars, and me as crazy as I am, and what I believe we're being told, we're going to go after the subsurface illegals, whether they're indigenous or secret space program, commie Americans, or reptilians, or whatever, or whoever the case may be, someone could still be home, especially by the surface material. I'm not seeing dust. I'm not seeing, dust is everywhere, and it's not sand. Right. The sandstorms. Oh, no, they're dust storms. What kind of dust? Iron oxide. Heavy metal, baby. Now, the thing is, so it's very possible and probable that, someone is home. Remember, and Hoagland brought this up on my show years ago. The MRO is the first to reconnaissance a foreign planet. And any terminologies of any missions before, it was the first one to be announced to us of a foreign planet. The other implications, foreign means nation, exactly. Therefore, who is really owned Mars, and that they're still home. So that's very fascinating in the wording, just like little green men, hybrid armies. No one's asking them any questions, but we're crazy. So there's a fusion of the two of this and this Odyssey image.
Right.
Boom. Just to bring up some examples so you can see what I mean of helping things to come out, you merging together. So you can see the details that may not be apparent one unto each other. And then to appreciate, to get an overall understanding of how this thing is cut, sculpted. Now, boom. That's the Odyssey image. Yep. And flip and mirror, cut it where one of the points or the point, it's not so controversial because each could apply. But if you split anything, you can make a face out of anything, yes. But remember, we're already doing it from a fucking face to begin with.
No, but not only that, I mean, if we're looking at space aliens, we're not expected to look exactly like human beings. This might be a representation of what they actually look like on Mars, like what the Martians look like.
Notice hominid. So when Hoagland says a human face, that's why everyone says, a human face on Mars. I said, bullshit. Does that look human to you?
No.
It doesn't look human to me. It looks hominid. Like I'm familiar with looking at someone with eyes and a maw and a mouth, and I'll
Gary,
get it what I
Gary,
think of.
the Planet of the Apes. That's what it looks
I'm
like.
glad you brought that up. That's where I was going to be going, especially what you're going to see soon. Okay. Now, one could appreciate, again, that's what you're looking at, the flip and mirror of this side. And what about the other side, one may say? Well, amazing, huh? Yay. Boom. Boom. Now, what does that look like?
Yeah, the cat. The famous cat.
A feline looks like a lion walking straight up at you, you know, Simba, whatever. You know, here's the maw, the nose, kind of looking like how it would look anyway. And the eyes, you know, it's got ornate tattoo type work done on it again, which even right here, if we would look right here itself, ignore everything else, ignore all this, just follow my mouse. Here's an ear, the side, it kind of looks like the side of a tiger face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? An ear here, top of the head, eye looks like cat eye. A mouth, nose, cat nose. Yeah. It's like a couple faces, more than one representation and meaning in it. And it's fused, but that doesn't mean that it's not without purpose. It means it's iconography. It is art. It is language, for all we know. And again, a tattoo artist gone mad, you know, sculpt this from above. Maybe have some hands on the ground to some degree, but what I'm seeing, someone went off with a real powerful laser or some shit. But it's interesting. And then that one would ask, "Oh, how do you get all that dust?" You know, meteorite impacts, and sure. But you know, so I don't know. There's a lot of still mysterious questions when you consider this. I don't have all the answers. But I was entitled Mars Revealer for nothing, and I'm here, phased back through time to help make our fate. You'll have to listen to the Martian Revelation. Say, "Oh, I'm crazy now." Am I? Watch as time unfolds. We'll see. All right? So, boom. Feline. Now...
Gary, go back to the previous image. I want to touch on something real quick.
That one?
Yeah, one. Look at the very top of the image. You see what looks like a bar that goes all the way to the very top. It almost looks like if you flip it upside down, it's like the legs holding onto a bar, and then the bottom looks like a head with the eyes, where the mouth would be.
Let me see if I could...
Can you flip that upside down?
I can, but let me... vertical flip.
Okay. Follow along here. There's none that look like a classic gray alien with the black eyes, legs, or you see that?
Hold on. Are you talking about this here, the gray alien, the big bug eyes?
Yeah, look at that. The nose and the mouth. Yeah.
Where, very interesting. Ack.
And it looks like it's holding onto like a bar with both hands. Look at that.
Right. Some type of emblem here. I mean, again, it's on the mirror point of where you split it, but either way, you're going to see fascinating things, and it's still going to look face-like, especially. But I think his dominant theme...
But it almost looks like he's riding inside of a ship or something.
Yeah, no kidding. And is it funny you brought that up? Because look at this. You see, like where the mirror points are. A lot of these look like the ancient Sumerian type of rocket ships that they're similar.
Yeah. I don't think anybody's ever brought this up. I mean, I think I'm the first person to point that out. But that looks to me, when you flip it upside down, it looks like it's a gray alien.
Mm-hmm. Now here's Mars Express image. All right, now this thing really, people got to appreciate. You can see more detail in this. Again, higher resolution than the Viking, but less than global surveyor. But you can have a lot more detail as you see.
Yeah.
Look at all these nooks and crannies. Look at all these lines in geometry and where the lines go. They happen to fit the other features, and then you see it going away from it. You have lines and like it's carved like a jewel, like a tattoo artist gone mad. And you can see all the scale patterns. You can see all the lines. Where's the dirt? Where's the sand? Bullshit. That is not. That's heavy metal. That is there. That is the last through the eons. I mean, look at this. And on my my high screen definition TV shows these images better than on my computer. Believe it or not. All these little peaks and stuff. All these are interwoven in all the lines to where all these lines of purpose. They all go in every direction where the whole place is covered, and you can barely make it out. You got to pack them and smoke them, people. Look at these pyramidal type point mounds to where they really look like what? They look like stars. Or cities. But look, they're patterned with purpose. You can predict where they go. You know, and
Gary, if you look at Earth, for example, from a certain distance, it'll look like nothing's there. But when you zoom in, you start seeing the patterns of cities. And that's what you see here when it's contrasted in the lighting like this. You start seeing what looks like city patterns on top of the face and all over the place there.
All over the place is exactly the key.
Yeah.
Everything has been sculpted from the outline of the face to everything around it to where it all goes and what it all connects to. It's madness.
Yeah,
that's what I call it. It's madness. And that's the truth of it. That's seeing the human face staring at you from a Martian desert. But here's what desert really means. It doesn't just mean a sandy place like here on Earth. It means a place without water present. Right. Dry atmosphere. I mean, although we know Mars is water. Well, do we really know? How much do we know? Just by the things that they've taught us and brainwashed us over the years.
We know.
Look, they don't even send a fucking experiment to detect life, and you're going to believe them.
Yeah.
Remember, wanted us to believe Mars sky was red.
Yeah. But, let's take a look at that image right there with the mouse. Go over, for example, you see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 little dots right next to each other. Right there. Yeah. You see how that whole structure that looks like has little blocks and whatnot. It looks like that's a working little city, and the lights are probably the main lights. Yeah. Now notice where the line goes. Since you're looking at the line, it goes straight. It goes right to the bottom perfectly of this so-called crater. And look, on the top of the crater has a line going off where there's such another little pyramidal thing with some knobs around it. But you have all of this is sculpted as well. And there's all this is going on. This is detail. Detail that, sad to say, for some reason, is obfuscated. Not totally. Without this as a comparative analysis to compare them to, you could see what NASA's imagery offers or does not offer. Okay? But I'm still trying to prove some theories about that. I'm writing about that in my book I'm still on. Page 65, The Faces of Mars Beyond Mere Tricks of Light and Shadow. And obviously the first book is turning out to be dominant of The Face of Cydonia, which is probably appropriate. Anyway. Nice.
Oh, there's another
65 pages in already. How many more pages are we going to add to that?
Say that again?
You're 65 pages in, you said?
So far.
And how many are you looking to put in?
Oh, dear God, I don't know. I really don't. It's going to have to be broken up in sections. I know I got enough material. At least I'm told by fellow researchers that I have 3 to 5 books by now. So I don't know about that, but I know that when I do put them together, though, it's going to be very graphically charged and substantive in pages.
You should put them as quatrains like Nostradamus, just for the hell of it.
Well, when it comes to the UFO diaries and the code, that one could be. But that's different. I'm not going to get into that on this show. Just remember, I'm crazy. I don't give a shit. One day you all will. But now, so this is another different view of it from a perspective of up and down. Okay, and now then 2006, I forget the year, maybe a little earlier. NASA and ESA made a hit piece of the face of Cydonia. Now they don't have that page up anymore, but I should have saved it, and I think I did way back when. But hard drives, like you said, take craps. And you got screwed. So it is what it is. So you have to hunt down the data, as I did over the years. And all this was together. Now, mind you, this is what ESA had put forth out of a side perspective view, right? Of the face of Cydonia. Very interesting. Had some color, blah, blah, blah.
I mean, you could actually see more of a feline feature there than before, just by looking at it from the side there. Like,
yeah, it helps. Yeah, it helps add to the scene, the perspective of what looking at, especially interpreting. I don't know about you, but you can still see an eye here, the edge of a mouth, a risen maw. And I say this thing looks more apish or saurian, than anything else. This side looks more obviously feline, feline-esque. Which why people would say Sphinx, like the Sphinx in Egypt. They want to make that connection. So bad, let alone Cairo being city of Mars, but the Sphinx, half man, half lion. Well, there's no proof that the thing was always half man. Some say the face is also of a woman that's on the Sphinx that's worn away, but it's part of an older body that may have been a lion. Some say even, a dog. I mean, any of that's possible. I mean, but the face on the Sphinx as we know it in Egypt today was not the finished original product that it's connected to. All right, but let alone here's another different color enhancement of it. So it changes some. Again, they really love reddening up that surface because they want it to be the red planet so bad. The red planet. Well, again, you see the different hues of the other images we looked at the beginning, the globe, there's different colors. And it helps bring out the tattoo more, in my opinion. But anyway, so...
And again, the more you change the coloring, the more... And remember, this is way up. These are huge structures. But the more you change the coloring or the spectrum of light, the more it pinpoints to areas that look like could be cities. Again, they'll be tiny compared to what we're looking at overall as the image. So for the naked eye, you won't see them as cities. You just see them as a reflection of a long piece of land. But when you really zoom in, you really do see the city pattern, everything. I mean, everything is there as you would zoom in closer and closer to where you would start seeing perhaps buildings, structures, things that are just naked to the eye from that angle.
Well, that's how people would interpret it. People, therefore, seeing what we're seeing, people could certainly live in here. As many as a mile wide, a mile and a half long. How long and how wide is New York City? You know what I mean? So think about it.
Yeah.
So here's another one that they had given out in 2006, I believe. Again, when the hit piece happened, this time from the hominid perspective, boom. I was able to bring out the color a little better than it definitely had in the other one, but still kind of remarkable. And there's issues here behind this, because what was given to us along with ESA's perspective views here, what I said it was a hit piece, right? Now, the problem with that is that the hit piece, it was just that. It was a hit piece to try to debunk the face of Mars, officially calling it the face of Mars, but NASA and Malin having the main bulk of the story of their wording, not ESA's. ESA just basically published what they wrote about it, but they put out these images which contradict how Malin and NASA gave it to us. Okay, again, let's look at this. Again, perspective views. Berlin, G. Newcomb there. Okay, boom.
I see that, yeah.
And then, bam. There's a lot of colors that can be brought out. Now, mind you, I process this from the colors that they had already in the image. I got to get, I'm going to process the color versions myself and apply it. Though I do process the black and white imagery myself to bring out the surface features that aren't readily seen as the way they give them out to you all. ESA is better in that regard at showing you what's there. Now, again, there's an overhead view, just as an example. So, me again, the colors help show the metallic nature and the sheens. This is not sand. This is metallic and potential gold, a lot of gold, or some other type of hard materials that can be colored and fused in to their fish scale tattoo, like dragon scale, like patternings and geometry embedded within and all this shit. It's very tricks of light and shadow is it's a half truth that one, you definitely need to pack them and smoke them for and learn to adapt to, because it's there in your face whether you want to believe it or not. Boom. Now, what's wrong with that picture? This is what Mike Malin Graybeard gave us of a higher resolution from an image taken in 2001 of the full face image that they only gave out black and white. Now, mind you, they gave it out black and white. All of a sudden, in 2006, we got an image of a side perspective view that does not look like the view ESA shows.
Go back to that. Go back to that image because go back. All right,
right
zoom into that top image again if you can. Okay. Now I am very proficient in photoshopping. I can tell you there's a lot of smudging going on there.
Oh yeah,
a ton.
Obfuscation. Now, mind you, that's how NASA gave us the image. What is so fascinating about this, and what was fascinating about ESA's side perspective views? They were given in color.
Yeah.
Here's my problem. The color we see from Mars Express data, okay? Again, that's their image. You can see I just enhanced that a little better, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. That's how they give it out. So how does that match up to the color of this image? It don't. This matches up with Mars Global Surveyor's color spectrums of CMYK. And at the same higher resolution than the resolution of color range that's being given to us by ESA and Mars Express. You can tell the difference right away. Obfuscations or not, you can tell that difference. Therefore, when Mike Malin gave out this image, the full face on, not perspective view, but looking down at it, nadir, remember straight down? Off nadir means away from straight down at an angle somehow. Now, he had this color data, and he did not release it to us in 2001 with the full face, a black and white image. Now, everyone, when this came out...
What was his excuse, though?
What?
What was the excuse for not giving out? Has he given an official
He never
excuse?
gave one. He never replied back to me. Over the years, let's just say, he stopped replying. And those that know Graybeard, Mike Malin, they can understand. Even coming from someone like me. All right? Now, everyone, when this image came out, they were so focused on the problem that you see here, color notwithstanding, to what you see here. What is the big problem? And it should be right up here as one main point, and even some of the angles on here and everything. But the main thing that ESA showed us, remember, it was Mike Malin and NASA that gave out the official wording. ESA just provided these images, and it was used in the hit piece. Space.com ran with it. Many others ran with it. Now you can't find it anymore, but you can find the imagery through the various sites of ESA, but not the original or hit piece article. But you'll still have the wording, though. Now, what is the problem? Boom. A hit piece. It looked like someone hit the damn face with a bat in the middle of the head. Look at the big old bump. It's not here. It's not here. Where'd it go? Oh, my God. And they're supposed to be official data for comparative analysis that would show, and Mike Malin would know it would show, vast differences, especially by putting ESA's images on the same hit piece page as this image. This image had the dominant photograph of the story. Those ESA images were the less dominant, was article related, you found down later on the page. And when you look at them, the obvious difference is, how come where's the bump on the other ESAs? Who's lying? That's a middle finger. That bump, that hit piece, was put there by him, in my opinion. He skewed the data to bump it in the head and give out that hit piece to say, look, it's not a face. It's not a face, but still going to keep calling it the face of Mars. Okay? So that's its color. Then, lo and behold, I said, let me look at this. I did some easy adjustments to bring out detail. What a difference. This is in this. You can faintly see it. You can faintly see the differences.
Mm-hmm.
And this. Look at that weird alien greenish yellows and those purples and blues and even metal with features going over it with its own color. And it helps bring out the tattoos a lot, in my opinion. The mouth area, where the lips would be, is red. You got it reddy orange, blues and green. You got the art going how it's carved. Here you're starting to see through the obfuscation, which you say, hazing out. You can start making out details in there that has the color. Again, that helps bring out the tattoo. The eye. Look at the eye.
No, just not that. Look at the patterns with a little red, circular, and a little green middle, almost metallic middle, right where the mouth would be.
Bingo. Yeah. Here, the red and the orange, green, the colors flow. It's purposed. Yeah. But look at this eye. See how the eye is carved?
Mm-hmm.
Boom.
Yeah, I see that, yeah.
Has dimensional shape to it. And you have a pupil. Now, this pupil, you can see the pupil here and also here and here, depending. But you have to learn to see that by studying the image. But once you see this, you would understand that pupil's also at other places. It's because of, depending where the camera is, the eye would follow them depending on the sunlight that hits it. And your angle of viewing, that's why when they say tricks of light and shadow, they were masteries of that in order to know how to carve it, because as you're flying overhead, the eye is following you. And the only way you can prove that is get actual video of it, and at different times of the year especially. I guarantee it. It's fused, therefore it's like living art, as it was. You have too much detail here in geometry. But look at those awesome colors around the rim of that face. Look up here. You can barely see anything.
It almost looks like vegetation when you put it in that lighting.
Boom. I'm just bringing out color. Look, what I'm doing, I'm diffusing the light. And I'm reaching in the data that's there to uncover, which you can faintly see is there in this even, when you compare them, but it's just brought out more without obliterating the detail. So, wow. So therefore,
Mars.
This was taken in 2001. I would have been able to find this shit in 2001, not on a hit piece where we're like, all right, now is this real data or not? Everyone's fucking focused on the bunk on ahead. Not one person, even Hoagland, though I mentioned to him a few times, even on my show, about the colored data. The data was just as important. Now, why? Now, on the page, this is how they gave it. ESA, at least, they gave it like that. They gave it like that, like that. And also a frontal view, which was as part of, this is only a part of a bigger picture I took it from. So, look at that. This is a better image done of it.
Yeah. I completely see that. It looks like a living vegetation-filled Mars.
Some people would say vegetation. I'm saying it's the colors of ink that brings out the tattoo.
Yeah.
But certainly, hey, your guess is good as mine. Is it green? But look at that green, goldish, like lime.
Green would be a cause for vegetation. I mean, that's all vegetation at one point or
What
another.
vegetation? But vegetation going over carved features, artistically sculpted features. I'm more like
Gary, but here on Earth, we found pyramids underneath mountains, where vegetation has grown over some of these pyramids. Obviously, it didn't happen in Egypt, but there's parts in South America where they found evidence of vegetation over pyramids.
True,
So
but that vegetation obfuscates the designing. It obfuscates the blocks, but here it doesn't obfuscate. You can see details
details. Yeah, correct.
Like scale. Think of the scales of a snake or a dragon or tattoo. You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah. I see. Yes, it's a combination. Yeah.
Right. And so if it was vegetation, we wouldn't be seeing these scale-like patterns. We wouldn't be seeing that. This looks more like ink, tattoo ink, as it was for the picture that was embedded in it. As you can see, it doesn't just stop with the face, but the surface, it's infused with the surface. Look how it's webbed up here from the surface, webbing up on top of the side of the face. Like, you know what I mean? Like webbing up to it, stitching up to it. Like, so therefore it was the face carved, and then this modified the move up to fuse it with the artscape surrounding it. I mean, I don't know. This is higher than human intelligence that sculpted this, in my opinion. But I'm crazy. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So there's a different color view, just to help bring out colors that might have been obfuscated from the last one. Just to help people see. All right. So, boom. That's what they gave out in 2001. That's the image of what we see in color there in the perspective view. Even there, where's the bump? The bump here, this definitely looks higher than here. But yet, here, you have this higher than the maw of the mouth. Even though it's a 2D image, after studying the art of this thing, and looking at it and putting it in over molar data and all that, you as you learn the face, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But this is the same image. Now, why didn't he give out the same day, 2001, the color data as well? Why? How did I know?
That's the question.
Now, exactly. Now, boom! Look what I did, because in that also hit piece, there was a video also on the page and it had something in it to where, again, crickets, even from Hoagland, of the importance of proof that Graybeard withheld data. It's still in this drawer. When he released this face, he didn't give us the color aspect. Global Surveyor took many color images as well, and I studied many and enhanced and processed many of the color data. So I know that data. That's why another researcher who will remain nameless said, "Oh, that color is Mars Express data." Bullshit. Here's the differences. You guys seen it for yourselves now. There's big color differences between ESAs and this one.
Yep.
Mars observers, the CMYK, and also higher resolution than Mars Expresses. So, of course, we would see better detailing along the face than we did in Mars Express. And I said, it doesn't match. You can also blow it up. It still doesn't match. And overlay it, it doesn't match. So there's a video on that page, and I said, holy crap. And I stopped it because it's only a video that's showing the perspective view that we just seen. All right, but spinning around. But it started out like this. Yeah. That is the data that was withheld from us in 2001. That is the data that was not put up as a main report like this was. Well, that was. Why? I said, oh my God, why? I wanted to see it full on. So as I got down the page more in time on that day, I clicked on the video.
It goes back to the first impression. As this is the second time they have the first impression, and if they can fool you with the second first impression of this thing, if they fool enough people, then people just dismiss it. And I think that was the agenda completely.
Well, yeah, to dismiss it because of their official position. Because remember,
right.
They don't want it to be a face at all. You know, it's
Correct.
a mountain, it's a massive, it's a hill.
Yeah.
They don't know what the hell it is.
It's all a trick of lighting in your image and it's your imagination.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But trick of light and shadow,
it's
I
here.
explained to you all. And because of the art, it's the truth, but it's a half truth. They were obfuscating the truth. Now, so on this video, it gave us this image. And you can tell even by looking at this, it don't look like the ESA quality color. This looks like higher quality color, all right, which makes sense. Mars Global Surveyor. So, lo and behold, I said, oh, very interesting. So that proved my point. Again, never a reply from Graybeard. Him and I, he stopped messaging me long before my questioning about this. But look at that. That comes and is in. I didn't add these colors. These colors are in that. It's just brightened. It's just haze. It's just obfuscated. So I had to dig down to diffuse the light everywhere in order to reveal his deeper identity. And when people see that compared to the black and white image, I mean, wow,
pops out directly,
yeah, I mean, you could, wow, someone might say, wow, a no big deal, but then when they see this shit, and if I'm opening my mouth too much, swear, let me know. I just get excited about this.
No. I'm with you 100%. I even see the eyeball moving.
Well, yeah, you can see the eyeball here, but they're really, and it's art. It's also etched here. It's etched here. It's etched here. There are circles within circles, and depending on where you're looking at it from, if you were looking at it way from out here, way beyond, out in the space, and the light's hitting it, that eye's going to be watching you. And as you go more across it, that eye's following you because the light is changing because your position in orbit's changing. Therefore, the pattern's changing. The eye becomes animated.
Now, for that to be something out of nature, I mean, the odds are like 1 in like a trillion, maybe? For
a living sculpture.
For it to be this many anomalies on one, mountain, it makes it look like this. It looks like it's like sculptures or like living art. Is really what this is. For that to be a natural phenomenon, I'm telling you, that's 1 in a trillion, if that.
Boom, and we never got. Even from MRO, we have not got a true color imagery. We got a color image that I just put it in here. I want to show that for another time because it's much larger. But the thing is, it's just not the same. There's things wrong with it. This had better color ability than what they gave us, and it's not consistent. Why? And that brings up the bigger question, Angel and everyone else. Why not ever a true color image of Mars? What's the true colors? All right, it's why? Because you see the tattoo and you see the giant sculpture. Welcome to my madness.
Yeah.
All right, boom.
No, but look how criticized Russia got when they released a real image of the Earth, and the color spectrum was completely different than NASA's been putting out for years.
So think about Mars, and Mars is not Earth. They want to make it as Earth as possible to us, and it's not. So now here's another image from MRO. I mean, and there's many more images that it took. And I just want to touch base on the main ones. This is how they publicly give it out on their website for this particular MRO context image. All right,
Right.
the
Yeah, I've
text
seen that
image and
image.
the high rise would take a smaller picture, which would really be much higher resolution close up. They only gave us one, but they gave us at least 11 or 12 context image views from MRO. So why were we only given one high-rise image long ago? And even then, that's questionable. I have again, this thing what the show's about tonight. But notice this is how they give it out. When you go to their webpage, you click on the picture, and you can zoom in on the picture on the pages they have now, right, in the little window on the page, and you're like, that's weird. It's so bright and everything. And some people have said, that's because you're viewing the heat and stuff. Bullshit. That's because you don't know how to process a damn image. Why?
Correct.
Because look what you get when you do. Same image.
Yep.
NASA's version, how they give it to you, the public, which this is the people's camera. Remember? The people. And here's
Taxpayer money camera, yeah.
And yet, it takes one of the people, not of their people, to process it correctly. What a big difference. What a big difference. Or is it me? Do you see a lot more details in here that make it more... Well, that's definitely more facial than this damn thing.
Yeah.
They try to make it like the Viking as possible.
The details are amazing when you change just the lighting. It's amazing what you do see in scope and detail. Which that's exactly why they were doing it. They're hiding what's there. It's hiding in plain sight. That's all it is.
Exactly, and there's no hiding from it because, like I just said, MRO alone, 11 or 12 context images. Never mind alone the infrared images, which is by Odyssey, which is really low res, but it's good for comparative data, and regular viz imagery of Odyssey and Mars Express, the lower resolutions. Each one you still looks like a damn face. All right, especially when you process them correctly, then just believing this is what you really get. That they're taking. Oh, really? No. Here you go. Eek! Run for the hills, right? So, but now brings up the interesting aspect, again, like we explored earlier, with this particular image, up and down, boom.
Let me ask you a question. You see right under the eye socket, there's what looks like a ball and a pole right there. Yeah, how high up there do you think that is?
Well, if up here is 1,500 foot high, this has got to be at least 13 to 1,000. And then you
looks
go
like some kind of an energy pole, if you ask me. That's what I'm looking at there.
Very interesting, though. And what is it like?
They recently had a Tesla. You remember the Tesla coil? They had the energy ball on the very top.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that reminds me of.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. Well, the faces of pyramids are as well, and we do know that pyramids are power generators or senders, and God knows literally what else, and obviously these Martians do. But what does this look like to you? That don't look like a human face staring at us from a northern Martian desert. Again, it's all
that looks like multiple faces, Eddie. You can even see where the mouth is. It looks like a little gray head with a body. I mean, there's all kinds of
correct
there. Yeah, you see a head on this, another head on top of there.
Right, but his main visage, his main dominant theme, looks like a King Kong Cornelius, or Saurian, a more like a dinosaur,
right?
Short teeth. You know what I mean? I mean, it's very tricky. It's a hominid Saurian type of fellow, Planet of the Apes. Definitely ape-ish, more. You know, the big brow over the eyes, like Cro-Magnon and apes. Right. Wearing some funky helmet potentially. Some claim, and maybe it is. But it's all
It could be a flying
fascinating.
saucer on the top there. That's another thing. It looks like almost a saucer, like a saucer landing on something. Or look at that. Actually, when you look at it from that angle, again going back to the grayish looking alien, it almost looks like he's working on a keyboard. I was looking for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like he's flying
Yeah,
a
no
ship, right?
shit. No shit. Yeah, there's his control panel. His hands are here.
Yeah. Remember the Roswell crash? Some of the supposed footage of the wreckage showed what looked like control panels they control with their hands, right?
Right.
That's kind of what that looks like. It's maybe just holding on to the control panel.
Look at the art on this. Boom. There's the feline side.
The feline, correct? Yeah.
The lion-esque, the big old mane of the lion, the big forehead of the lion, the big nose of the lion, the eyes.
Here's the trick part. The bottom where I guess the nose would be. If you look at the face, it almost looks like a little monkey face.
Wait, right here?
Yeah, it looks like a little monkey face with a monkey body. Like a monkey king or something like that.
I know, isn't it wild, man? There's so many things that can be made. It's iconography. You know, this isn't natural. Nature doesn't do this, especially what happens with us. The main dominant theme is lion-esque, and the other side, Cornelius King Kong, there, you know, two things that, at least as life as we know it here on Earth, that we could attribute to visually is really fascinating. And again, I cannot fully, that doesn't mean there's a, people always want to say the Earth-Mars connection, but what is that really? And if that connection is there, how do we know this shit wasn't made before the Earth itself? If you're going back to the Sumerian tales of who we are and where this planet even came from.
You're going even further than that. What if this is not just the actual hybrid connection that created human beings? They mixed some kind of ape-like creature from Mars with a feline creature and created humans.
Well, that could be it too, or it could be ancient. You know, some people say ancient humans from Earth that went to Mars, but people want to make humanity as if we're the grandest thing, and people want to ignore scriptures that we were created. And this shit up here is higher than human, and believe me, it's a creation of someone's handiwork being seen in the heavens. Enough said. Now here on Earth, we get that. This from George Haas and others of the Mesoamerican split art, that it's not too far-fetched to have that hominid feline type thing going on, split iconography. And we see this a lot in South America. Now this and Mesoamerican human, hominid, lion-esque. You know, it's kind of odd. I could have put more pictures of these, but I don't want to steal other people's thunders, and I'm not trying to make it as my own. It's just correlates with the research, and to be actually to save on time, we got a lot of images. Here's another MRO CTX view from a different time of day and a different month or whatnot, orbital position. Compare that here, what you see. With that. You know, just like the Viking image we looked at, the Odyssey, the Mars Express image that we looked at, it shows different things. That's readily available. They'll still confirm the things, some of the things you see in the features already, but this one brings out more. Look at these lines that you don't see that are readily apparent in the other one.
Correct.
And this one has the bottom mouth shown all the more better. And all right here, what NASA had put out, and as in the past, you know, you would see all hazy going down. Now you're seeing details. Now you're seeing the fine etchings as it was. You're seeing the sculptedness.
No, not only that, you see in areas that could be openings for ships, crafts, beings to walk into.
Definitely worked in the place, yeah.
Yeah. And
None
then
of that.
remember the Tesla coil-looking object. That look at it in that angle. It even looks more coily. Like look at that. You see the patterns in the bottom. It goes round and round and round. Yeah, right there.
This is risen too, though. This is all part of this. It's
Yeah.
all part of this. Triangular. And there's a lot of triangular circles, squares.
Uh-huh.
It's like a spider web within a spider web within a spider web, each being a picture
Right.
and being ornate. I mean, this thing was carved phenomenally. We can't even, we'd never duplicated the technology, at least as far as we know, that we have now. But who knows what we could get. We need to get up there and under there if they're not there already, like you said. Subsurface illegals, here we come. Ready or not. Now, this is a combination of that other image of the face from MRO, CTX, and this one. Right, and this one. So it's this one and this one. Put together. This is what you get. So you can see the details that each has to offer, merge them, fuse them together, and it helps us get a better picture, really, of it to understand what we're looking at, and it proves my words right about the way it is carved, because I wouldn't have been able to test and prove it if it wouldn't be able to be done.
Right. And it's not an equal split down the middle, but there's definitely a distinctive line that it splits the images apart. If you look at it from that angle, you can definitely see, yeah. But it's not even completely like straight up the middle. It's almost curved to the right, from bottom left up. And you see the curve. You see the curve going all the way up.
But there's also a faint line that goes again, and they could have multiple split points. But this one, you know, it's really interesting. In order to bring two faces into one. Now, this is a side perspective view from Google Earth. I played my image data on it, and look, where's the big bump? Where's the traumatization? This is more consistent with ESAs than anything. But look at the dip. Look at the dip of the brow and where the eye would be. That's pretty amazing, ape-like. And notice here again. You know,
yeah, but
when
see,
you
this image. The thing I have about that I have against the image like this is that it really does not give a good depth perception of what's really there.
Right. That's because the data that they're using on Google Earth is MOLA data, and it's been modified, and therefore it's hard to get a good estimate. Dr. Mark Carlotto had a good image from the 1976 Viking face. I wish I added it here. But it shows a peak, but not in the position where NASA had it, but it would like come up like this and that peak be risen to where it goes up to here to the mouth, you know, and then goes down. It looks more face-like. You can see the more better. I'm definitely writing about that in the book too. So that part's already started in it. So but hey, this is just to give a perspective. Well, you know, what is it really? How can you do this? Oh, that's slide. You know, these things are huge. And then when you consider this, it's not far-fetched to consider all the surrounding artscapes as well being manipulated, even these so-called no craters. You know, I mean, and it's all part of the picture, and the art is going on it and through it and around it as well. And it should be impossible. Oh, maybe I did use one more MMRO image. This is how NASA gave it out. Okay? Believe it or not, it's like, wow, you know, what a bad image. You know, who gives a shit? Yeah, well, you know, process the raw yourself. Obviously, it's a different time of day. Maybe night, more toward night. Very interesting. You see features I brought out in the other one, straighter lines. Well, the lines and... Again, depending what you'll see, I have to make fusions of these, but I got to get matching fusion images that are nadir or in the position that they're in, because if not, I won't get a solid hit on these. It'll always be offset. So I try to make fusions of the ones that are consistent nadir-wise, so I could do what I need to do. And it's already, those experiments already worked. So all of these just added for more comparative analysis and spectacular wonders of our friend up there.
It's amazing.
Now,
It's
this is
It's
something.
amazing what they're hiding right underneath our eyes. This is incredible. Yeah.
Oh, that's what they've been obfuscating for years. But
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
it's a massive, it's a hill. They don't know what the hell to call it, but they officially call it the face of Mars. Now, here's a feature that I claim is face-like. See, I'm on the hunt for other faces, and we'll get into that toward the end, whenever that will be. Thanks for allowing me the time. But this is
Yeah.
kind
Not
of
a problem.
what you kind of see, like Cydonia. You learn certain characteristics after studying it for a while, and that I use to applicate in trying to find others. Though they may not look the same, I might say I might see a similar mindset as it was, or techniques. And sometimes it can be hard in helping spot other potential faces, because that face of Cydonia we can most humanly adapt to. Well, it looks hominid, it looks feline, but that don't mean that all the rest of them would be. So but we have to learn what we learn from the data and of the features of how the face is even designed in order to applicate that into studying other features or potential other faces. Because something you may have seen first that, and you look at and study more and more, you can see more of the characteristics of why it might be a face. So I call these face likes, but it's really interesting. You see a lot of detail. This image could have been done better, but it was on a shitty SWAT. It was hard to get that out of this. I will try to hit it again. But what made
I remember seeing one that it was a face and it looked like it had a crown on the top. Almost like a young king, and it was like on the side of a mountain. You remember seeing that one?
Oh, the king face by Greg Orm. Greg Orm's find. Yeah. He was on I think a couple months ago too, and he spoke about that.
Kidding. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Cool.
He'd be a great guest. So this thing here, and then but look what's it's nearby. It's nearby this triangular, weird pyramidal type shape. Bizarro world type pyramid. Again, you got artscapes, you got features, you got the scale patterns, you got features that are in line with others. If it was naturally, it should be all chaotic. Here's another little pyramidal type structure. But like these so-called people say it's craters. Yeah, well, look how they're geometrically shaped, lined with each other, and continues on all over the place. Everywhere, everything. I mean, I could keep going on with my mouse to draw a picture even for you all, but it takes a lot of time. Think on how much time it took them to do this to a planetary surface. But there's another image of it, of features just above it. Notice this pentagonal type pyramidal structure nearby it.
Yeah. I was about to say it doesn't look like the Pentagon.
Yeah, and notice how it goes out. Coincidentally, it goes out, butts up to this point here. That happens to be the exact rim of this particular structure. And it goes down to here, which would be the top, and this leads out into it, which leads out into that rim. It's pretty amazing.
We're looking at roads, almost.
Right. Or well, for lack of a better term, I just call it the art, the tattoo. And, it has that that bifurcation split like two different sides onto each other. It kind of looks face-like, so I find it fascinating. No crater nearby. You can subtly see features on it and little structure sitting on the edge of it. And, I mean, I'm just going to show many different things. That's a utopia face found by Dr. John Brandenburg, and he believes it's a face, and so do I. Though it's not like the face in Cydonia, it shares similar characteristics in its designing and mindset. Here you could kind of see an eye. Okay, and when you think of face, don't think of a normal face. We know this is a bizarro world, but it's odd. You can see a lot of the features.
Well, again, what is a Martian supposed to look like? So.
Yeah, but which one looks like who and what?
Exactly.
It's just weird. That's what it's mainly meant to be seen as a bigger picture of the surface from high above, further away, and you can see all these details, the way that it's cut and carved. Nature don't do that. You can follow the lines along, and everywhere you just wind up covering everything, and by following the lines. And nature does not do that. I mean, and then there's too much purpose. His chin point, forehead, and look at this weird structure. It has like flanges on it that connects to a centerpiece, as it was, and
Right.
it's fused to all the surroundings.
Well, no, not that. Look at this running there. Remember the supposed lava tubes that they found on Mars? That's kind of what that looks like. Which actually looked like not even lava tubes. It looks like glass tubes.
Yeah, I would call them tunnel tubes.
Right.
You know?
If you look slightly to the left there on the image, you get see the little ridges and everything. The little ribs on the very top. No, a little bit to the left. No, go to the left. Go to the left of the image. Further left. Further left. Well, no, further left. Right in between the two mountains.
Oh, here?
Yeah, you see that? You see that stretch right there?
Yeah.
Look at the little ribs on the actual tube.
Now that's believe it or not, that's the bottom. I've seen this in the perspective views. This is the side going up, like to a flat top, structured top, which is also art carved, by the way. You can, I mean, to really see that I'm not crazy, you have to study the data and even literally trace over it for your own benefit to grasp. But when you see it, you'll see it and start understanding it, at least in the sense to find the next spot and study that. It takes years. Maybe a lot of people just overlook, oh, they did dirt. No, that's all right. See you later, ape man. But this you'll appreciate, because this I call the jackal head.
There you go.
That's long before I ever been on your show. So George Haas also found this interesting. Now, again, though not looking the same, but based on concepts I learned from the face of Cydonia, I see applied here. And it's bifurcated, meaning what? Not, it's two and one as it was, or potentially, maybe more. But you can see all the features around it. How everything is carved, everything goes into something and even continues on over to some things while being a part of making what it is that it goes over and around.
Right.
It's now, some might say, why do you call it the jackal head? Well,
yeah, there you go.
You see this right here?
Yeah.
Woof, woof.
No kidding.
We got a Martian pharaoh dog going on here,
Yeah.
Big old more, the dog ear.
When you put it like that, a mirror image, the eyes are uncanny. I mean, that's without a doubt. The two eye sockets, nose, mouth. I mean, there's no doubt about that. The ears on top.
And it happens to look like a damn pit bull or a jackal staring at you.
Correct.
Or a weird dog, And look what we used. It looks like it's got a pole or something going through it, or an ape. Look how it goes here. So when you split this side and flip it onto itself, this kind of looks like an alien gray too. Look at this: an eye, pupil, the eye, like a bug alien. It looks like a pharaoh hat on.
And the grays look like praying mantis almost. This species,
and this head, which may be the crown or a head, is part of another head where here's the eye, the nose, a mouth maybe opening, a chin going down here, like some clown from outer space.
That Gary, hold on. That almost looks like, and I'm gonna get biblical on you, like a Jesus type of figure putting a crown on the head of like a satanic figure. Take a step back and just look at it for a second. You can see the arms holding on to some kind of crown.
You know why?
Figures.
Check this out. Boom, 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 boom. Pentagram.
Right. There you go.
Now that's in the geometry. Now I don't know whether or not it's satanic or not. It may very well be. And
even where the neck would be. Look at the neck area where it would be. Like you can see, like almost like a satanic looking like crown or chain. Where the torso would extend, or the shoulders would extend. I mean, this looks very, very satanic symbology.
So this picture you should use maybe for one of your logos or something here, the Jackals.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good.
You know, but that's an idea. Now
Gary,
this is,
we've been on for 2 hours. I mean, how much longer can you stay with me here?
I don't know how much longer you want to see more images. I got quite a bit more images. I'm cool as long as you're cool.
Well, let's do this. Let's go to the bottom of the hour, and we'll be done there. How's that?
Done at the bottom of the hour. That's what, in a few minutes.
That'll be in about 25 minutes.
25 minutes. All right, I'll speed it up. All right. So this is another face of Mars. First, people were like, "What?" At first, I was like, "What?" But look at this. Looks like, again, nothing's ever perfect. We already know that. It's Bizarro World. But it has a shape, an odd no crater attached to it. His, like, would be his eye shadowed. Maybe some weird-looking Thor helmet or something. On here, where an eye would be, kind of is. But you could definitely make out the mouth, chin area. All right. Different positions, so maybe it will look.
Yeah, that definitely looks like it was maybe bombed on one side or something. But
well, if that was it, then how come it didn't destroy all of this? If anything, all the art lines are going and making the rim around this so-called no crater.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not obstructing the crater, and the crater's not obstructing the feature. You would that it's like, how? It's impossible, they say. There's another face I had found. Neil Spence had also recently came across it, and he put a picture of it and said, "Hey, wait a minute, I found this thing in like 2012, 2015, and I started showing him pics of this area. We're going to do a collaboration on it, I hope." But here's like a pyramidal type structure.
I see that,
But here's this face, eye, again, a split face. Looks like some weird African Ooga Booga mask, all frightening looking and everything, two sides.
That one I don't see as much. Yeah, I'm having a little bit more trouble seeing the face on that. I see where you would see the eyes, but the mouth doesn't really resonate as much.
It looks like a totem type face. And then I didn't say it looks hominid or human either.
Right.
It looks facial by what the things how I've seen the faces of Mars, the face of Cydonia is designed. I see the same mindset in its artistic application and structuring here. Now, of course, if it's a face, who and what does it represent, and do we really want to know? But notice by it, we got some people would have said this is a crater. Really? A crater with a pentagonal shape with carving on it, flares coming up over it like a circle, but it's geometric. It's pentagonal as well as circular. And it happens to go up to this cool-looking pyramidal, might be a tiny face-like feature. It's all of this is connected. All of this is ornate art that you see sculpted. This isn't sand and natural dirt. All this has been sculpted. You can follow the lines everywhere. And then you see it's all part of each other. That makes it the harder for people to see or understand because of the scale of it. People just don't want to believe it. It's hard to see. This is another different image. I have like 8 or 9 different images. I think I just use these 2 as examples. Here you can see the face a little better. You can see the eye better. You can see the eye better here compared, to that one. That one has...
also from a certain angle, Gary, it kind of almost looks like you're looking at a virus through a test tube, and you're seeing like all the little things that hang out of, like, for example, the coronavirus. It has all the little, like, hairs all the way around it.
Yeah, filaments and all that. See,
right.
Notice these lines here. It's like a pyramid. It was overlapped with a layer, and you can see the buttressing overlap. Yeah. This thing as art, and the peak up here is the circle, which like those blade doors that open up and shut. Shweep, shweep. Like the sword blade doors.
Yeah,
That's pretty wild. That's another, I think, was going to be used as a face, or might have been once, or it was going to be, because you could definitely see the outline of one of consistent with a face-type mound. That doesn't mean it is a face, but it does share characteristics of it certainly being used and applied in a relationship with them somehow. Again, just going to show various images.
Yeah, I see. Well, yeah, you can almost see
This one's
the
interesting.
top. Well, look at the cross on the top. That looks kind of creepy.
What, this?
Yeah.
Ain't that creepy? That's definitely artistic. That's a symbol.
Yeah, it looks like a cross of crucifixion of Jesus, perhaps. I don't know.
And well, I don't know. There's two weird thing here, but you got this weird thing here coming up with a circle, and it's
like a cross on a keychain, Gary. That's what it looks like. A cross on a keychain.
Yeah, it's definitely structured though. Look at this. This is also pyramidal. It shares characteristics of face-type platforming, but it doesn't matter. It's pyramidal type. You can see, make out a pyramid here. Triangles, triangular, and squared, rectangular, leaving circles. I mean, it's like got complex math embedded, let alone all the scale-like features it all connects to, and why that's not natural either, I say. Now, here's my process version of it. I guess I could do a little better, but that came out pretty damn good, if you ask me. Notice this thing here. This is interesting. All these little pyramid mounds and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, leading up to whatever that thing is. That's definitely a symbol representing something. That you look at all that ornate art and structuring on it, and all the carvedness. Even going out to these little node craters that are also sculpted. The edges of the craters are matching and sculpted along with where all the other lines are going and what it's a part of. It's just amazing, and it's hard to see at first. Really is, because we're thinking of like how we know of features here on Earth, and this is not Earth. That's another weird structure.
Yeah, that is. That is not natural. I'm sorry. Yeah. There's no way that's natural. It looks like a theme park.
That's another.
That is incredible looking. Yeah.
Look at the right angles on here, going under and apart of the rim of this bizarro world type pyramid.
Yeah.
See that's incredible. This thing's in pretty good shape.
I mean, honestly, from certain angles, as high up as that is, that looks almost like I would say a castle, perhaps.
Well, definitely, it's wide enough. It's well, it's definitely near the mile size.
Right. I mean, if you look at it, look at the openings, the structure, the way it looks like it's a castle, and the I guess the circles on the side there would be where maybe they would hold off invaders. There's areas for sleeping in there. I don't know, but it looks like very castle-like. The bottom parts look like openings to the castle, like where the drawbridge would be somewhere.
Possible. Fascinating shit. There's the D&M pyramid. Again, the face of Cydonia would be like, I don't know, 10
That's a clear pyramid. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And that thing's like over 2 miles wide. So, it's larger than the face for sure. But that's huge. There's a ruined pyramid, I guess. But it's odd because it's just the way a lot of this is and how it was sculpted. If it was a pyramid, it was still sculpted odd. And I don't think that this is per se a ruin. I believe a lot of this is purposed for the bigger picture of what it sits on the sculpted globe of Mars. Further away, that this thing here would pull off what it was carved for at a certain distance within the bigger picture. as well as
Right.
a lot of these craters. If you look at a lot of these so-called craters, many of them have geometrical shapes.
Yeah.
Where on earth do we have pentagonal-shaped pyramids? I mean, craters.
Nowhere.
Another odd pyramid. I didn't process one from the raw. If I did, we'd see all the details. But I will do that. I just pulled out images, just to put together, prove some points. This is a pyramid, believe it or not.
No,
An
that
odd-
looks like a pyramid. Yeah, an odd-looking pyramid, but that looks very pyramid.
Oh, and that's got some size to it too. I think about.
Yeah.
Walls.
Well, I mean, all these objects obviously are huge. Oh my God, look at that. Yeah, that's.
Oh,
And again, look at the glass tube-like structure going in it. Then you see all the pyramids around it. That's pretty incredible. See, that looks like a wall going all the way up on the side there. Yeah, going all the way up to the middle. Yeah, it looks like a giant wall going up.
Shape. You know, some people say turn it sideways and it looks like the Walmart emblem. I started laughing. There's another one. Another pyramid type shape.
Yeah.
There's another D&M type. Another odd looking pyramid. Pentagonal almost. It's different. This I call the foot pyramid. That looks like the outline of a foot a little bit. And
right,
again,
footprint, yeah.
Another structure with a no crater attached to it. Neither is obliterating the presence of the other. This is not a normal crater.
No.
For whatever purposes is yet to still be ascertained. But I call it the foot pyramid. And you can see the buttressing and shit.
Yeah,
It's built shaped around the mound that has also been carved and purposed. It's interesting. Here's another pyramid. Again, the no crater being attached to it. And I think I got the dimensions of this one on here in one of the next images on how big this is. Notice it sits atop its mound. That's been formed and sculpted for this. With this on it, this squiggly thing with a so-called crater.
Mm-hmm.
It's exquisite. 3 miles. Corner of this down to the corner of here, right here.
I mean, that right-hand side going into that crater, that looks like roads going in.
Right.
I mean, that's distinctively, if I'm looking at that and trying to make sense out of it, that's what it looks like to me.
There's one I found. That one's pretty interesting. You could
That
definitely
looks like a wicked UFO.
Right? I call it the Manta Pyramid.
The manta shape. Yeah, I see that.
Again, a no crater being attached to it.
Yeah.
For some reason, obviously, it's been covered up or whatever happened around it. Seen better days.
Look at the rocks or the boulders on the right-hand side there. That they almost look like ships themselves or some form of device, and they're casting a shadow, so they're pretty high up there.
Yeah, man.
Right?
Well, and I found this thing. This stands in the middle of nowhere, stands right out. There's no way this is natural.
No.
Look at that.
That looks like something out of Pizzagate.
Oh, right? Triangle,
pedophile gate, right? In fact, the Pope, around the Pope's neck, they were that symbology almost identical to that.
Wow.
Yeah, you haven't seen that? Google the Pope's attire. You're gonna see the Pope has that kind of a pyramidal symbol, just like that. I mean, that's almost identical. That's pretty freaky.
This is the black and white version. You can see more detail of this circle. Kind of looks like a half face here too, like a goblin.
A little bit, yeah, goblin face, yeah. I was gonna say.
But it's definitely pyramidal. And look, it has consistency of, shaping on around it. That's
Yeah.
freaky. It don't belong. That one's pretty cool.
Mm.
Circle, pyramid. I don't know, weird, huh?
It looks like a living city to me.
That's one of my discoveries, not far from Cydonia. I call the Mad Martian pyramid or the D&M pyramid junior. Again, no crater connected to it. We did an animation for Mark Carlotto's SPSX shade from shading program to where, it starts out at the bottom like level. You can see and then it gradually comes up to what we see here. So, and it shows this thing's wild looking, man. This thing's wild. But look at it, unmistakable, the geometry here. It looks like it might have seen better days too, but it looks like it held up pretty well.
Look at it all the way to the right, the little tiny dots that lead into the crater.
Yeah, here?
No, on the other side of the crater, right to the right. More to the right. Right, there, little tiny dots. Up. Right, there, there's all little dots right there.
Yeah, and all these little structural little things here.
Right there, that doesn't that look like a little city going into the crater?
Yeah.
I mean, again, we're talking about structures that are pretty high up there. So that while it looks tiny, when you zoom in, that's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're going to start seeing houses, maybe buildings. Who the heck knows is down there? Maybe just rocks, but it definitely looks like more than rocks to me.
Yeah, it ain't just rock. I'll tell you what, it's been art sculpted. This is another weird type of geometrical pyramid. You can see a lot of the features on this. It's just pretty wild. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Incredible. There's a lot of things in this image. This kind of looks like a face here too.
Yeah.
A weird face.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, that one's actually a little bit clearer. It's like a mangled up face, like.
Yeah. Freaky. And another thing I like about this image is this here. This thing.
I bet you split that image and mirror it in half. It's gonna have a very demonic look to it. That's one thing I noticed about a lot of these images. They have a very evil, dark, demonic look to them.
Well, for our perspective, but for them it might be natural, but maybe it is.
Yeah, exactly. Correct.
You cannot rule that out. This was a clip from UFO Diaries as a hint of what's out there, and it took years later when other data was found for me to find it, to see that they were trying to clue us into another face that they were allowing us to find as a clue. Therefore, if this turns out to be valid, then therefore the other ones they've shown us, why we should not consider them. Mr. Hoagland, boom. And I got better pictures of this, but I just use this as an example. This is just one image from Mars Express, but just to show that it was found. And here's another interesting one, a bizarre one. And this one looks like maybe some type of canal that has been cut or something, or boundary. Look at the lines that go through it. But look nearby, there seems to be a weird face.
By all stretch of the imagination, I mean, that looks like some kind of either underwater canal with a bridge exactly going right through it. I mean, even though it splits on the right bottom side there, it looks very artificial like.
Very weird type of face thing going on here. Half a face and half weird. I don't know, just bizarro world-ish. Everything's purpose. Follow the lines everywhere. Follow the lines.
Yeah.
Another view of it.
What's such a dedication to carving faces, though?
Well, faces ain't the only thing they're carving. And remember, they're carving all up the surface around it too, everywhere. But what's the fascination with faces? Good, well, good point. Or face-like things? That's a good question. Again, we do know from scriptures, do not make any graven idols, let alone bow down to them. Maybe we're dealing with a problem with that, which kind of brings in, again, the demonic aspects, potentialities, and scriptural potentialities in this as well, and all could apply. You know, people say, religion and bullshit, but yet, you know, there you go. You're talking about other things. Yeah, okay. You know, now this is face I found in 2012. My Mars Express here. And it took a while to get more data. This year, I recently made a video called The Face of Acidalia, as this is like Southwest Cydonia, borderline Acidalia. So technically, it could still be Cydonia, but we already have the face of Cydonia. So since it's bordering Acidalia, I also call it that. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if you see a face or not, but I do.
Oh yeah, no, I see it. It almost looks like it's looking to the side a little bit, but I see the face on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's another just of that.
Yeah, right there.
Now here's Mars Odyssey.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting. You can see the more
Again,
structure.
it looks like there's some pissed off demonic look to it.
Right. Now there's the Mars Express image again. Without the color. All right. Processing this one from the raw as well. And notice the eye, like eyelashes or the eye point. And you can make out some type of pupil here. Though not looking like the other face of Cydonia, this is the same size roughly, 1.5 miles long, and at its widest point here to here is 1.13 miles rather than just 1 mile. Okay, so 1.13 miles from point to point, 1.5 miles long. That not looking the same, but sharing characteristics of his artistic mindset and designing. This was a real easy one to spot out when I found it. All right, and then boom, put that Mars Odyssey image on it, overlaid it, fused it. That's what we get. So that, you know, so we could get a better perspective from the data, you know what I mean? To where each image has, where others may not, we can get another view.
Right, another idea of what's actually there. I got you.
Now there's Mars Express, MRO context image. The eye fascinated me. Look at that standing out. Mm-hmm. And that eye looks like he's looking to the side.
Right.
For all we know. Strong mouth, the line where the face of Cydonia and the mouth has this feature going up from it too. It does here as well. Though not looking the same, they share similar characteristics in mindset and designing. So obviously they don't look the same, but definitely it looks worked. Right? So, and I overlaid
even the parts on the left side that looks like it's mountains right under the eye or right below the mouth. I mean, that could look like some kind of communication device.
Just like the face of Cydonia. Yeah, just like the Cydonia has something under the eye, broader cheekbone type this one has. But you can follow the colorings and the details.
Right.
You can follow it. It has purpose. Believe me, I didn't just see this and put it out. Oh, it's a face. I mean, I've studied it for some time for me to make my claim. All right. So here's a better one of color infused with the Mars reconnaissance data. Look at the eye, how it's looking that way more. You know, you got that like a eyeliner or something. And it's weird. And it has a central point, too, just like the face of Cydonia does in its central point. A little bit of red, but it has that beak-like point within the mouth. And like the face of Cydonia, that you can faintly see the mouth going on the other side, though its part is showing has carved the feline features on it and has it. This one's different. This is a different structure, but it's definitely still of a brother. All right. Look at this shaping of the head. How
I
it
mean, I
comes
would
up.
go a step further. That looks very, again, Planet of the Ape-ish. The eye on the very top.
Right.
Uh, the light part of the mouth area looks like this part here
Yep.
of the mouth. Well, of course, you have the slit here, but the very, very top of like the goatee area, I guess would be. Then you have the nose in the middle. You can see the eye. You can even almost see a pupil. Go
Bingo.
up a little bit. No, no, no. Up on top of that. Forget that part.
Here.
Right there. You see like a pupil area right there?
Yeah, and it might be part of a different face. And believe it or not, it's funny you brought that
Right.
up. Because remember what I told you about cobras? Watch.
Yeah.
Check this out. Now, before we get to that, 1.5 miles in length, 1.13 wide. Cobra.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that.
Cobra flare. You see what I mean? It looks,
Yeah.
that you were right. The eye. Here's the eye you were talking about.
That's the pupil right there, yeah.
Pupil. Here's the center. Here's one of the nose slits. Part of the
Yeah.
nose ridge. The mouth open a little. You can see little teeth or something. Maybe a tongue opened his mouth a little. Definitely has the serpentine. Something
It's like a serpent on top of a serpent almost.
right. Therefore, when you look at it too, it's like his face is therefore wearing a snake cover where he's like snake-like, and what you see here is in fact a more of a larger mouth where this dude is like some type of serpent ape dude
Yeah.
wearing the covering of a cobra over the flange over his head as the crown.
Gary, leave it right there. Go zoom out a little bit. Zoom back down a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, right there. Doesn't that also look like the torso, 2 arms sticking out, 2 legs on the bottom?
Yeah,
Like
he's
the
all
head.
wig. Yeah, it's like here.
With
Here's
the
his
wig and the
hair.
hair and the eyes, like a little
Yeah,
Chucky
here's his
doll.
eyes. His Chucky face. His mouth is open. Here's his hair. His arms are out, and he's jumping up wee, and he's doing wee.
Correct. Yeah. That's what it looks like.
You know, indeed, isn't that weird?
How about Mars revealing, huh?
Indeed, there's a lot of things to see on Mars. They're not focused. Oh, we're looking for possible signs of life. Never mind what we actually may see. We'll run right over it, run right by it. And actually, that's what their policy is. They admitted it. Even if they see something that looks like life, and that may be life, if it doesn't fit their priority of their objective of which they're looking for, which is my opinion, and Dr. Gillivan's too, they're looking for the really the proof and evidence of evolution, Darwinian evolution. Truth be damned, and it's not even been proven as a fact here on Earth, let alone, and then despite what they're going to see in these upcoming rovers, Bridenstine and others said, well, hey, and Zerbuck, we're just going to roll right by it and look, search out our objective. And even if it don't look as exciting as what that potential life may have been, it cannot detect life. And they won't. That's not their objective. So I think we're almost done here. Just to touch on UFO diaries, what got me hunting also for these faces?
Gary, how can everybody follow your work? What's the website again? Give it to the audience so they know exactly how to track you down.
I don't really have a website for my work per se yet. I need to build up a site. I do have a lot of work though to make one, but but thefacesofmars.com, thefacesofmars.com is pretty much for my show page, and has linked to the archives and other things, and some pictures on the page. But my work is not. So far, I'm putting it in books. Well, that's being written. I'm 65 pages in my first one, so maybe that would be a good place to stop. I could have got into these too, but I mean, we could always do another show at some point.
We'll definitely have you back on. That's for damn sure. Especially now that I'm doing Thursdays and Sundays on Jackals Head Together. So it'll definitely open up to have you on more often. No, this is just amazing. We could go on for hours and hours on what exactly is on Mars. But the truth be told is, we're never going to know until we actually have the boots on the face on Mars.
Well, we got data. Data is good too. I mean, don't play that down. They love to play that down and say
Right,
that
Ron.
was orbital
yeah.
view. Where, in order for us to know where to walk, we're going to see where we're going to be putting the boots down. And if they're
Correct.
calling it the face of Mars, now the picture on the screen, the last couple pictures, this is from a 1958 comic book called The Face of Mars, The Face on Mars by Jack Kirby. Though the face is standing up on the surface, not looking up at you, but the experience that they have in it is remarkable. There's the logo for my show, The Martian Revelation. Eek! Staring up at it and wonder, that's me, I'm obsessed. I don't know. I got the spirit of the Martian Revelation in me, though, whether it be good or
What
bad.
time can they catch the show? I know it's on Global Enlightenment Radio Network, but what's the time so the audience knows?
It's 12 a.m. to 3 a.m. or longer Eastern time, Saturday nights / Sunday mornings. And tomorrow we're going to have a special one during the day with Mr. Andrew Bashago, which we will use as a show for Saturday night. He couldn't make it Saturday night. I mean, this show goes weird. It is what it is, but I appreciate all the listeners out there, and we are making our fate one show at a time. And especially here, too, you're helping us make that fate, Angel, in more ways than you know. Only down through time are you going to become more acclimated to that. But just like this is our future Space Force side. I want you to kill them all. Join the Space Force.
We are the Super Troopers.
Indeed.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks so much for joining me on the 3-hour podcast here tonight. And, 3-hour show.
I didn't think about that, but thanks.
No, but it goes by quick. But you know what? We're going to have you back on soon because, again, there's so much we can cover with Mars itself. And that's just one planet in our solar system. Imagine the other ones we haven't even talked about and what might be lurking on those.
Yep. So, again, thanks, Angel. And everyone else out there, may the Martian Revelation be upon you all now. Pack 'em and smoke 'em. Good night.
Check out the website, angelospino.com. And also check me out on Patreon. Please check out the Patreon page and donate. Patreon.com/Angel Espino, all one word. Check that out. Anything you can give, it's really appreciated. And welcome. Until next time, guys. Peace.